let's talk about something nobody really tells you when it comes to money. If you're looking for real, lasting financial freedom, you've got to look past all the exciting, flashy advice. In this explainer, we're going to dig into why the most powerful money moves are almost always the most boring ones. So many people are out there searching for that one big financial breakthrough, that one smarter strategy, that faster path, that single move that's finally going to make money feel easier. And that makes total sense, right? When you feel overwhelmed or like you're falling behind, the idea of some dramatic turnaround is, well, it's really appealing. But what if the real breakthroughs are hiding in plain sight? This desire for a quick fix leads us straight into what we can call the myth of the breakthrough. This belief that one big, exciting move is going to solve all our money problems. Okay, now what's so interesting here is how it breaks down what we think we want versus what actually works. The lure is all about speed and excitement. The big wins, the instant momentum. It's how so much money advice is sold to us. But the reality, the way most people actually improve their financial lives, it's through these quiet, steady moves that build real, lasting strength over time. And that disconnect, that's where so much of our frustration comes from. So what's the alternative to chasing those big breakthroughs? Well, it's about embracing the power of boring. It's where the real progress begins, with these kind of unimpressive but super consistent actions. I mean, look at this list. These are not flashy moves, are they? Automating savings, cutting a few subscriptions, making one extra debt payment. They don't make for exciting stories to tell your friends. But think about it like this. Automating just $5 a day into your savings, that becomes over $1,800 in a year. That's the hidden power of these quiet moves. When you repeat them consistently, they can do more for your life than almost any dramatic one-off action ever could. So if these moves are so effective, why do so many of us struggle to stick with them? Let's explore some of the psychological reasons these simple habits can feel so difficult. The first doubt that always seems to creep in is this one. You automate, say, $50 into savings, and you feel, well, almost nothing. There's no big emotional reward, no instant gratification, so you immediately start to wonder, is this really enough to make a difference? And that leads right to the second doubt. You cancel a few subscriptions, or you make that steady payment towards your debt, but you still feel so far from the finish line. Because the progress feels so emotionally quiet, it's just so easy to start questioning its value, and then you abandon the very thing that was actually working. And then comes the comparison trap. You see all these loud stories online. People making fast gains, having these huge transformations, finding life-changing hacks, and all of a sudden your steady, quiet progress just feels small, unimpressive. And this can make you disrespect the very pace that would actually lead you to success. And this right here is the crucial point. This is why so many of us stay stuck. We're waiting for a money move that feels as big as our goals. And in that process, we completely ignore the small, repeatable actions that are actually strong enough to get us there. Okay, so let's shift gears and actually look at the mechanics here. Why exactly are these boring moves so darn effective over time? I love how this slide illustrates the power of automation. When you rely on fragile intention, saving only happens when you feel motivated or disciplined or you're just in a good mood. But a resilient structure, like an automatic transfer that happens on payday, it works whether you're feeling inspired or just plain tired. It removes the need to constantly negotiate with yourself, and honestly, that is a total game changer. Or think about recurring expenses. A single $15 subscription? It feels small enough to just ignore. But money pressure is so often created by accumulation. That little cost keeps showing up month after month. Reducing these expenses isn't about being rigid, it's about creating breathing room that just keeps coming back to you. Paying down high-interest debt can feel so unrewarding because there's no visible upgrade to your life. But what you're actually doing is removing drag. This kind of debt is like a quiet tax on your future, claiming your money before you can ever use it for something that matters to you. Paying it down frees up your future cash flow and reduces all this hidden pressure. This is such an important way to reframe the goal. Maybe financial freedom isn't about some dramatic, exciting life. Maybe it's just about a life with less scrambling, less playing catch-up, less of a need for constant financial heroics. These boring moves are so powerful because they systematically reduce the chaos. So how do you actually put this into practice? Let's walk through a simple, actionable plan that you can start with today. First, just automate one thing, a savings transfer, an extra debt payment, whatever. Second, look at your recurring costs with honesty, not with guilt. What's no longer serving you? Third, find your single biggest drag. Is it debt, a spending habit, idle cash? Just start there. Fourth, and this one is key, stop waiting for a perfect month. Just start now in this normal, messy month. And finally, measure your progress not just by the numbers on a spreadsheet, but by the feeling of reduced pressure in your life. That right there is real progress. And this really gets to the deeper perspective shift. Financial stability isn't about being smarter than everyone else. It's built by repeatedly doing things that protect your future self, even when they're not exciting. You stop asking what sounds impressive, and you start asking what quietly strengthens my life. In asking that question, it changes everything. Money stops being about performance, and it becomes about designing the life you actually want. A life built on habits that are way too ordinary to brag about, but are way too powerful to ignore. So what's the one boring move you'll make this week to quietly strengthen your future?